Hey guys, so I bought this Roku Streaming Stick Plus as part of my effort to cut the cord, meaning of course cancel my cable subscription and do more streaming. I'm going to have another video later about that experience, but for this one I'll talk about my experience with this particular device. I picked the Roku Streaming Stick Plus over the Amazon Fire Stick mainly because Amazon doesn't support YouTube. And even though I can actually live without YouTube, I don't like the fact that Amazon fights with their competitor at our expense. So let's open this box, get it set up, then I'll be back to go through some of these menus. Okay, so now that we've set it up, I've actually played around with it a little bit, and it's very cool. I've watched a few, I've added a few channels, as you can see here from my homepage. So I've got Netflix and Google Play, Sky News, the YouTube Prime Video, and then a few other news channels, as you can see on there, that I've added. So it's actually pretty good, and I should talk more about channels in a minute. But one of the really cool things about this is the Roku Media Player. So the Roku Media Player actually allows me to play content from any DLNA server on my local network at home. So now I can go and connect to my media, to my hard drive, for example, and you can see that it connects to the center. It sees the one that I have there, and then I can now select videos, for example. I can select whichever videos I want there, and choose. So there's a whole bunch of options, for example, so I can do by folder. It goes through, starts accessing the hard drive, and based on that hard drive, whatever it finds on there, it just shows me what's on there. So you can see now subfolders are on there as well. So if I tap on DJI, you've got a whole bunch of different videos that I can go and play from here. So it's a very cool feature, and it allows me to replace two different devices on my network, and it's much better than before. Now if I were to go back to the home page again, so I can just press the home button on the remote. So I can of course watch any of these different channels, as you can see here. My feed is just sort of a more customized version where you can browse a whole bunch of different types of shows and show them on here. I don't see much need for that at this point, but maybe as I use more and more of this device, I might be able to learn more about it, and maybe I might find it useful so far. Search allows you to just search for specific shows or movies or specific actors, for example, and it just finds you within your channels which ones, or which channels might have these types of shows that you're looking for. Now, what's even more important and the really cool thing about the Roku stick is that you've got the streaming channels, and the streaming channels, you have literally hundreds of channels that you can browse through. So these are the featured. For example, you've got a whole bunch of popular ones, top free, just like anything that's just been added, for example. So you've got a whole bunch of different categories. But the genres that they add on here, if you go down here, you'll find games, music, apps, comedy, education, fitness, food, and under each one of them is actually is a bunch of different types of channels. So international, for example, you'll notice if I scroll to the right, you've got 199 international channels from pretty much all over the world, wherever you think, or wherever most of them will give you streaming TV from all over the world. So I found this to be actually very useful for anybody who wants to look at some international channels, as well as a whole bunch of different other types of applications and apps that you can do that. And of course, all these are part of the Roku App Store. That's why we had to pay, or at least show the enter a credit card number at the beginning when we were setting it up. Even though I don't like the fact that I have to enter the billing information for me to be able to even use this, but this allows you to just automatically get charged if you want to install something there. From a settings perspective, you can see now, if I were to go into settings, so you can go looking about the network, for example, there's an option for checking the connection. You can set up a specific connection, for example. You've got remotes and devices, so you can actually use multiple remotes or multiple devices that to control the Roku stick. So it's this, and I don't see a reason for me to be able to do this at this point, but for now it's pretty useful for the remote, and I found the remote to be very, very responsive. I don't really have to point it. I think it's the Wi-Fi based remote. It's not really an infrared remote, so you don't have to point it towards it unless you're using the TV connection mode. So if I'm putting the volume up and down, for example. The themes, which essentially is just what color schemes and what it looks like in terms of interface with the Roku stick. Screensaver, they've got a very cool screensaver, which you'll see at the end of the video, which I'm going to use in the last summary part of the video. But the screensavers, you've got a few other different options, and it's really useful if you just leave the TV without doing anything, and just these screensavers turn on, so that you don't, if your TV suffers from any kind of ghosting, it actually will save, it'll stop that from happening. The display type, so right now it's detected 1080p. If it's 4K, it would show up as 4K. You can select closed captioning, so the closed captioning is turned on to be automatically on. Audio, you've got menu. You can set the menu volume, for example, to high, medium, low, or the audio mode. So right now it's auto stereo, or you can select some different formats within there as well. And HDMI, of course, auto detect. You can select what kind of HDMI sound comes through, so you can see Dolby, Dolby D, and Dolby D Plus are different options that you can use. So for now, I've got it auto select because it's just based on whatever the TV has on it. Privacy, you can control whether Roku actually tracks tracks what you do or not, and so limit ad tracking will limit a little bit. I mean, it's never going to eliminate it. The fact that you're using any kind of online product these days, somebody's going to track you somewhere. The other thing is also, from a system perspective, you can get information about the Roku, the time. You can control other devices. So you can turn on the TV, for example, if you with the remote, if you wanted to. Language, you can set which language. So the one that I got, it's got English, German, Spanish, and French. You can set this also as a casting device. So you can select mirror screen, and then you can control what happens when somebody or some device tries to cast to your TV, and you can always, and as well as you can add a whole bunch of whitelisted devices to allow you to cast onto the TV. And this, of course, this option is really cool as well, because this option is literally going to allow me to just disconnect my Chromecast, which I've been having a lot of problems with, to be honest. Most of the devices I have just keep dropping, and if I play something, it's hard to get back and pause it, and etc. So it hasn't been a great experience. So I'm hoping this one might be a better experience. Although the main reason I was using casting with Chromecast to begin with was to to cast and things like Netflix and all that, which already exist on here. So I probably won't really need to use this feature too much, at least at home anyway. System update, you can update the system, you can restart the system. Advanced system settings, so you can go and factory reset it. You would have to enter the PIN that you created when you were setting up the system, as well as the network reset, control mobile apps, as well as advanced display settings. You've got a whole bunch of the ability, for example, to change the refresh rate, as well as the HDR capabilities within there, and as well now is a whole bunch of different legal agreements with that belong to there. So the system is very simple to use. I did not find any kind of challenge using the system, this interface. It's very fast, as you can see. It's very quick and easy to learn, and it literally took a few minutes to just sort of figure out where things are, and wherever you are. For example, if I were to, let's say, I can open Netflix, or yesterday, for example, I started up Prime Video. So Prime Video, once you start an app, you've got the apps that are built on for this are automatically set up so that they interact with the same remote functions. So for example, if I were to go move around to some of these shows, for example, you'll see on the bottom right hand side there's an option that says if I press the asterisk button on the remote, I can add this to the watch list. So I've got a whole bunch of shows that I can watch, and it automatically adjusts the resolution and everything from there. Or I can just exit from whichever app that I want, and I go back to the home page. And you can see it's very responsive in the way that it works, and so far it's been great. I've played a whole bunch of streaming videos, and it's actually been really good. The only thing I have noticed, which I will talk about at the end, is that there is some interference with my over-the-air antenna. I know some of you will laugh at that, but as part of cutting the cord, one of the abilities to see local channels is to have a digital over-the-air antenna that allows you to just sort of run a TV in the background without having to think about what to watch sometimes. So to wrap up, I'll use the screensaver that comes with the Roku stick as a background. I think the screensaver is pretty cool, and it takes actually about 5 minutes to start over again. Now, as for the Roku Streaming Stick Plus, here's what I really think about it. There are things I like, of course, and there are things I do not like. Mainly what I like is the fact that it supports all the streaming platforms. So unlike the Amazon Fire Stick, which does not support YouTube or does not support some Google products, this one supports pretty much most of the streaming platforms that are out there, and even has apps for more popular channels, and so is very portable. It's got local DLNA support, so as somebody who's got a local media center set up at home, it actually is very useful to allow me to play some of my local videos, music, show some photos, etc. from the hard drive that I have conveniently without having to go and copy files around. It is actually very easy to use, and it is super fast. I found its the responsiveness is amazing. It doesn't have there's no lag time in terms of it. Now, in terms of what I don't like, even though it's a small thing to some people, but the fact that I cannot use it without providing payment information to Roku makes me a little bit uncomfortable. We all have to provide payment information to a lot of different vendors these days, and you don't know where your data ends up, and so it makes me feel uncomfortable with especially with the fact that I honestly do not intend on paying for any of the apps in the Roku store. There are enough free apps out there, and if you had to pay more for the apps, I probably wouldn't have bought this anyway. So I'm not really too concerned about that, or too happy about that, sorry. As for the other one that I sort of noticed or told you before, is the signal interference with over-the-air antenna. I've noticed that signal interference. There is a solution that I may have found online. I will post an update in the notes if that solution works. I'm just waiting for something to arrive in the mail. But there is a little bit of interference that I found with my over-the-air antenna, especially on one channel. But if I am able to fix it, I will let you know. And that interference I didn't find from the Google Chromecast, for example, which is right next to the device, and it's never actually interfered with anything. So I will let you know that. And with that, I will end my review. Thanks very much for listening, and have a great day.